Could we dim the lights a little bit? Because some of this stuff is, or turn off maybe these lights down here. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's good. My name's E.X. Martin. I'm an attorney. I'm from Dallas, Texas. What an honor to be here. Enjoyed the give and take on the previous speaker. Very interesting issue. Somebody said something about 1972, and I was a prosecutor in Dallas in 1972 when the punishment for any amount of marijuana, including a seed, was 2 to life. Y'all will be pleased to hear that even in Dallas County, by 1974, we could not pick a jury because nobody could qualify on the range of punishment. Consequently, it was reduced to a misdemeanor for normal amounts, and I guess that was the start of change. But anyway, it is an honor to be here, and maybe some of y'all wonder why I'm here. Just to give you an idea, I want to give you an idea how smart I am. Not a serious, as my friend Racehorse would say, not a serious moment now. But in 1964, I was a senior at Highland Park High School in Dallas in the fall of '64. And one of my best friends came up to me and he said these immortal words, "EX, and my brother is an SAE at Oklahoma University. They have a good football team. It's a party school. We ought to go there." And I said, "Perfect." All that panned out. Oh, he said he'd get us into the fraternity. All that panned out. I was lucky, got through OU unscathed. Marijuana hit the campus of Oklahoma University in 1969. A very interesting phenomenon. People stopped dancing and just started listening to the bands. I got lucky and had, y'all can figure, I got lucky and had 4th row seats to see Janis Joplin. That was a great experience. It burned an image into my mind upon which no photograph can improve. Of course, so did watching Yellow Submarine at a theater in Norman. You can see why I can never run for public office. But
it's a new world, baby.
Also, during that time period, I came back to Dallas. I was in law school starting fall of '69, and all these swamis rolled through Dallas. And it was a very interesting time. I was exposed to Eastern religion. I've been a vegetarian for 40 years. And it was such a shock to have a prosecutor that was a vegetarian. They did a newspaper article on me, if you can believe that. But during that time period, a man named Richard Alpert, or he goes by Baba Ramdas now, he was Timothy Leary's teaching partner at Harvard, and they were doing more than teaching. They were taking just a shitload of LSD. And he wrote a book, Be Here Now. And the other night I was watching a documentary on television, and I know y'all are wondering, what does this have to do with this talk? Nothing, really. It's a who invited this guy deal. But I want to tell this anyway. So this documentary about a month ago, and Baba Ramdas is talking. I'd seen him in Dallas, and I really liked him. Read his book, and then they comment, Steve Jobs went to one of Baba Ramdas's lectures in California, and within a week went to India for 6 months. So I thought it was very interesting that, part of my talk is iPhone with a defense, and Jobs and I have a common link through Baba Ramdas, and you can take these words of his with you. And here's something he wants people, he said, well, you're getting stressed out, think of it this way. What time is it? Now. Where am I? Here. Take care of the eternal presence, and the future will take care of itself. Take care of where you are right now, and the future will take care of itself. It is an honor I never saw myself speaking all over the nation for 30 years at criminal defense lawyer seminars. Like my mother says, EX, you're not one of the smart ones. Thanks, Mom. But I did. And I will tell you, another thing Baba Ramdas said is that our Creator drags us to our destiny. And I have no doubt that I was meant to be a criminal defense attorney. I'm very comfortable with it. love my friends, love the people I meet speaking on the lecture circuit and elsewhere. And Keith Strop and I have known each other, this is embarrassing, 30 years, not in the biblical sense, but we've known each other. I know his wife, Cindy, his better half. Got a magic, collided with the NACDL, caught on fire there, and got to speak at a bunch of seminars and made a lot of friends. There is nobody in this room who has not saved at least one person, okay? It is a noble profession. Daily, we fight the hydraulic pressures from law enforcement to really do away with our rights. There is no one in this room who has not saved at least one person, and truthfully, we've saved a lot more than we realize. Oddly enough, just yesterday, I got a phone call from a man, and truthfully, I did not recognize his name when he left me a message, but he said, hey, I'm participating in the Van Cliburn concert, and 20 years ago, you represented me on a large marijuana case. Honestly, I don't know what I did, but he said it saved him. I guess we, a blind hog picks up an acorn. I must have done something well for him, but he called me and left this message, and it was quite flattering. Y'all have similar experiences. But anyway, the bottom line is, here's the difference between me and you. This is your typical client. This is mine. He actually has a good personality, but he has an anger management problem. Also has a life sentence. Where did this talk, iPhone for the defense, iPad for the defense, where did this come from? I'm going to tell you where it came from. The iPhone has a camera in it. A friend of mine named Travis Young and I were in trial in Fort Worth, Texas, or we call it Fort Worth. We were in trial on a DWI case, and our theory was, and this was actually happening, the mad mothers have made the cops so rabid, if they smell alcohol in your breath, you're going to jail. And as my son said, that's not the law. And I said, you're right, but that's how they're enforcing it, and that's the truth. Well, our theory on this DWI case was that he had something to drink, but he wasn't intoxicated, and because there's a zero tolerance policy with Fort Worth Police Department. Well, my buddy Travis Young, who I was trying this case with, the first question on cross-examination, he asked the cop. He said, "Doesn't Fort Worth have a zero tolerance policy on driving and drinking?" And he goes, "No." So anyway, he asked a couple other questions. The judge said, "We're going to break for lunch." So Travis and I walk out the side of the Tarrant County Courthouse, and Travis, who's kind of an odd bird, he goes, "Yeah, so you got a camera on you?" And I said, "No, I don't have a camera." "Well, yeah, I do, my iPhone." I forgot about that. He said, "Well, come here, I want you to take a picture of me." So Travis goes and stands next to the Fort Worth police car, and if y'all can see what he's pointing to, it's zero tolerance. So instead of eating lunch, we went over to Travis's office, printed out the picture, took it to court, cross-examined the officer, and I honestly thought the cop was going to say, "Well, that's on the passenger side, and I never get on the passenger side." But to his credit and my buddy Travis Young's credit, his answer was, "Well, that's not an official policy." And to Travis Young's credit, he goes, "Well, what about protecting to serve?" As we say in Texas, you can't dig out of that hole. Okay, the camera on the iPhone. Don't forget this. And when I talk about an Apple product, all these things are good nowadays. The iPad's great. The iPad's probably the best tablet. But all these phones are good, and they all work. And so really, if there's an app that I talk about, a software application for the iPhone, there's probably the same thing for an Android or whatever phone you're using. So I would just kind of want to be clear about that. But this iPhone camera, you can now take panoramic pictures with it. That's a picture of my office. Someday, somewhere, that's got to be helpful to somebody in a trial. The point, this is just how you do it. You hold up your camera, you can go like that, and you do a pano. They also have little applications where you can edit your pictures, crop them, and this, that, and the other. And all this stuff's affordable. All of it's just like $5 or $9. The most I did buy one program for $89, but we'll talk about that in just a moment. But why I have this picture up here, this is kind of an interesting deal. This guy he was charged with DWI 3. He admitted to 3 DWIs, but he said the prosecution said he had a 4th one in Rockwall County, which is east of Dallas. And so he said he didn't, I said he didn't, and so I actually called the DA in Rockwell, and they agreed to fingerprint him. And so I took this picture, just thinking, well, you didn't take him over there, you didn't, well, you know, I got my camera with him, so while they were fingerprinting, I took a picture of him just in case there was any dispute. Does that make sense, y'all? But why I have this picture in here is that on this Camera Plus that I've got in my paper, you can take these pictures and you can immediately like tweak them a little bit, and this stuff is good stuff in trial. But what I'm saying is it's got these blocks down here, and you can crop it or whatever you want to do with it. Just works. Good stuff, as we used to say. Or, well, you know. Snapseed is one of the programs that you can use. You've got to, you know, it's a miracle I'm alive when I asked my wife to take this picture. But these are actually two prosecutor friends of mine. It's a tough life, it's a tough job, but you know, somebody's got to keep the girls happy. But anyway, that's Camellia, she's a federal prosecutor, and Elise is a state prosecutor. To give you an idea of the quality of my practice, one thing, and this may help you, I take pictures of courthouses because I can email them or text them to my client. And my clients need the help. Anyway, but it's something you might think about. I also take a picture of my office. And so I email it to him. And you know, picture's worth 1,000 words. There's a sign out in front of our office. This was an interesting case. This poor woman has a methamphetamine problem. She was married. Her husband spent $15,000 sending her to this high-powered detox place, and when she got home, they had a daughter and a son. He took the son, a month later, he took the son swimming. When he got home, she wasn't there and the child wasn't there. He knew immediately she'd gone to her drug dealer, and he tracks her down, kicks in the door, as we say in Texas, whoops her ass. Not particularly condoning that, but anyway, he was in the house with this drug dealer. The police come over and arrest him for burglary with intent to commit assault. But anyway, I took an affidavit from her, and I started thinking, you know, this lady's so flaky. And it had to do with the fact that she did go over there to get drugs. She did take her child with her. She shouldn't. I just videoed her. And truthfully, that would be hard to wash away. You all get what I'm saying? You know, and we've all got these cameras with us now. And they all work, and they're all good. Moving on. This is something new. Also, digital pictures have what they call metadata embedded in them, and the metadata goes to really everything about the picture: the time, the date, the color hues, and this, that, and the other. But a friend of mine in South Carolina, Diedrich Von Lee, is in a huge case in what we call intoxication manslaughter. And in South Carolina, the police are supposed to video DWI arrest from the second you they turn on their blue lights. And Texas has somewhat of a law like that, but it has no teeth in it. Well, the South Carolina law has teeth in it, and if they don't comply with this, they have to dismiss the case. And Diedrich actually won something in front of the Supreme Court of South Carolina. But in this new case he's got, an intoxication manslaughter where a man was killed on a motorcycle, the police didn't video it for like an hour, do any videos until like an hour after they'd been there. And they sent him just a score of pictures. Well, Diedrich goes in and gets all the metadata. The point being is he can show a timeline that they didn't even come close to complying with the statute. Y'all see what I'm saying? So I put this in this talk because honestly I haven't had a case that involves this yet, but something came up, and when he was talking to me, so I just went on the iPhone and went to their app store and Googled metadata, and this program that I'd never heard of before popped up. I would imagine it was less than $5. But in any event, just to kind of give you an idea, these are my buddies. Keith knows John Zwirling and Tommy Spina. And this was at the Key West seminar, NORML Key West seminar this year. And I put this in here because then I brought it into the metadata program, created November 29, 2012, size, so forth and so on. But this is generally, for our purposes, what's important. So if John Swirling is accused of murder or something, and he says, hey, on the 29th I was in Key West, well, I guess we can prove it. But you see what I'm saying? In some case, someday, may cross your desk. Just remember this. Metadata is in there. It's easy to find out. May well help you. I love this program, DocScanner. The camera is so good nowadays in these smartphones that you can take a picture of something, and these apps, they can convert it to a PDF file. And one time in Dallas, and as my friend Diedrich once again says, he says in Charleston and Dallas it's the same way. You can swing a dead cat and hit 9 lawyers. It's not like we're in, the only show in town. This dentist called me, and his kid had got in trouble, and oddly enough, I was right outside the courtroom in which his son's case was filed. And I just told him, I said, listen, let me get your email address, and I'm right outside the court. Let me go get the arrest report, and we can talk about this intelligently. So I did. I got the arrest report, laid it down on the just a table, took a picture of it. It converted to PDF. I sent it to the dentist, and I called him back. Anyway, I got the case and got the fee. But it essentially has edge detection software, and then you can actually do multiple documents. But the great thing is it'll convert it to a PDF, and then you can send it to people, email it. These are just some of your options. And you can also have it open directly in any of your cloud server things if you want to. Who said something?
What was the name of that app?
DocScanner. I really like. I've used this. I know I'm talking fast because we're limited in time, but this is take a picture of it, and this stuff's crystal clear. iPad for the defense. My father was a pilot in World War II. For those of you who do not know, he flew P-51s. That's a P-51. That was actually in England in 1944. It was taken by a friend of mine whose dad was a mechanic in England. That plane is one of the top reasons we're not speaking German today. I like to fly. This is my sister and my niece. I like to tell everybody that Ashley is my wife, but not so. That is my sister. My point, when I have this in here, you can use this iPad for navigation. Airline pilots are now using these iPads to hold their approach charts, and it's all gone digital. And the point is, this is a powerful device. This particular deal, this shows the app. This plane's got other things than this, but this is a backup. It can actually, when you're flying, download weather data over your iPad, which when I started flying in 1981, radar alone in your plane was 50,000, and then it barely worked. This stuff is 1,000 and works. So technology. Why is it important? Because for pilots, it's a big deal to fly to Catalina Island. My instructor and I flew to Catalina Island 2 summers ago. Can y'all see this picture? What do you think I saw when as we were right out of John Wayne Airport in what is Los Angeles, and we saw this? Well, what do you think I said? I said, "Oh shit, I'm going to land there." Well, I did, but it's important this navigation's accurate because the next stop is Japan, and we wouldn't have made it. This is another deal. This is in here because I actually just like this graphic. It's got to mean something to us, like where we are and where we're going. That's the only bearing it has on this. Just to give you an idea where we've been, we're talking about high tech. Mark Mahoney and I started in like 1991. The NACDL bulletin board was a primitive precursor of the internet. And this was a laptop back then that we ran it on. And what it enabled people to do, we had bulletins. You can see it now, the NACDL spring meeting, NORML wine country legal seminar. And it was just to communicate with members. We could exchange documents and motions. And there was a case in Denver where an appointed attorney in a federal case demanded to get a witness here, and his client was indigent, and the government said, we don't have to do that, we don't need to pay for it. Well, the judge told them to get the witness here. When they did fly him into Denver, they refused to put him up anywhere, and they said he had to go to a flop house. So he put this on, put a message out on the bulletin board. Somebody had a motion, sent it to him, he filed the motion, the government put him up in a nice room. So it did have some utility. And that's me and Mark Mahoney. Both and I have spoken at numerous seminars in Key West, like starting in like 1989 or something. So anyway, but how has this progressed? Well, nowadays with tablets, we have the NACDL Edge, immensely important. CLE calendar. This is a free app. You just touch these things and they come up. Member search. This is if you're trying to find a particular person, Ed and Let. Search, he's in Houston. You can also do it by, I need to try to find an attorney in Houston, and you can get like a mile radius on it, and it'll find people for you. This is new events. A grand jury, a vital tool, or in need of reform. Just various news items that are related to the practice of criminal law. There's my friend Judy Clark, who's now representing the Boston Bomber. Anyway, Champion. I've always thought that the Champion articles are invaluable, but I wind up with a stack of magazines and I don't know where anything is. This is tending to address this issue. I always say the NACDL is a good group to belong to. The magazine alone is worth the price of admission. You can also search for experts. This one, the cellular phone expert. That's how I found Aaron Romano. Well, not a serious moment, but next. Hey, stand up for a second. This is my friend Aaron Romano. Here's how we're all connected as brothers and sisters in the criminal defense bar. I start working out the second part of this talk. I'm sure y'all are waiting for the first part, right? The second part of this talk is about cell phone forensics for criminal defense attorneys. And I started working on this because I'm friends with a forensic examiner in Dallas. And I saw a thing on the NACDL listserv that said this Aaron Romano had given a good presentation in Connecticut or wherever. And so I said, well, I want to call him and see what he's doing. And so I called his office, and he picks up the phone. I said, listen, I'd really like to have your paper or presentation or whatever. And he goes, EX, I saw you speak last week in NORML. So, you know, small world, but anyway. And so now we've spoken at a seminar in Philadelphia, and next week we're in Hartford, Connecticut. Back to the iPad apps. First, the getting paid, that's not a bad start. Who would ever think that you could use an iPad or an iPhone for credit cards? Square. I never had a merchant account because truthfully the banks would gouge you, they'd hold on to your money, wouldn't pay it, it was expensive, this, that, and the other. This thing, Square, works. You run a credit, you set up a little account. If I can do it, you can do it. And actually that's a common thread that runs throughout this presentation. If I can do it, you can do it. Easy to set up an account, set up your checking account, swipe the card. Y'all recognize my client, Luca Brasi. Photoshop. Anyway, swipe the card, that deposits directly into your account. They don't hold on to the money. Then they send a receipt to your client. They sign on the iPhone or iPad, send it to you, goes into your account, emails them a receipt. It works, turning a positive into a negative. This doesn't have anything to do with technology. 3 years ago, I was supposed to speak at the NORML seminar in Key West. About 3 days before the seminar, I felt of changing a battery in a weather sensor and fell off a ladder and severely broke my back. So turning a negative into positive. Here I am, an invalid, and I have a trial coming up, so I file a motion for continuance, and I contend it was the best motion for continuance ever filed because I just inserted this graphic into the continuance. Motion for continuance said see motion exhibit A, and that was the result. Well, moving on. Trial presentation. This is one of the strongest things that I like about the iPad is PowerPoint. I'm running this presentation on my iPad, and it's easy. I love it. I use the iPad mostly in trial for when jury selection. We can do a PowerPoint presentation. This thing, it doesn't weigh anything, and it's instant on. It connects with the projection system. You can take a PowerPoint, in Microsoft, do a PowerPoint, and then import it into your iPad using iTunes or Dropbox. Y'all follow what I'm saying? And it's just easy to use. Went too far. This is what it looks like. This is board diagram that I prepared. It just works for me. I think it worked for y'all. This shows how you use the iTunes interface to. What you do is you click on the app, and then you import the iPad into this, and then you sync it with the iPad using iTunes. That's one of the ways you can do it. I've got a web page, cyberbar.net, and I've got a little video that shows you how to do it. Once again, if I can do it, you can do it. This is just showing how you add. This is also in the paper that I provided for the seminar. More about moving the PowerPoint. You can see I've got this little adapter, and that's how you hook it up to the iPad. That's what it looks like, the screen. There are other trial presentation apps that add a little sophistication, go up above and beyond PowerPoint. One of them, affordable program, Exhibit A, it works. It syncs with Dropbox, and actually that's how you import. In other words, you'd open a folder and then bring in the slides or the pictures or the documents that you want and bring them into Exhibit A. And what happens is, well, this is an example. This is a picture I used in a case where they said my client was running from the police. He wasn't. But we use this picture to trace his route. And when you touch the iPad, a red dot comes up, and it just makes it easy to follow what happened. It helped in the trial. This just shows there you can take documents and you can rotate them. You import these documents into it. A program that's a step up from Exhibit A, and the only expensive app I've ever bought is TrialPad. This is a competitor to Trial Director. And being a nut, about 10 years ago, I purchased Trial Director. It was $600, and you also had to go to training. This does pretty much the same thing, unless you just have, pardon my language, a shitload of documents. And this is $89. What it can do, this is an example of a arrest report we brought in. You can highlight an important area during the trial, and what you can also do is, like before a document's admitted, you can blank it out. In other words, you can turn it off the display, judge admits it, then you just hit show. You follow what I'm saying? And so then it'll bring it up for the jury. But not only can you do that, it has what they call call-outs. If you want to emphasize a specific document, you just drag your finger over and it'll pop out. Then you can do side-by-side document comparisons. Sooner is an interesting program, or app. What it allows you to do is designate certain folders on your computer that'll go up in the cloud. Truthfully, when a judge friend of mine first mentioned this, I thought, why would anybody need this? Well, I use it frequently, really, to send documents around. I'll show you an example. This is what they call it. Sooner has your iPhone application or your iPad application and a desktop application. The desktop is the one where you designate your folders. You can see in documents, I've got a check mark right there. If you go further, then I've got a folder under documents like baseball, BASIC, back injury. Some of these others aren't checked, but burdens is. So it knows to send what's in the burdens folder to the cloud. And then I have access to it from my phone, from my iPad. And I'll tell you where I use this. And there's a million ways to use it, and I use it a whole bunch of different ways. And it's virtually free. It's burdens. I get so tired of going into courtrooms and seeing the prosecutors there with their PowerPoints that have a big seal that say such and such, Dallas County District Attorney, and the defense normally doesn't have anything. Well, really and truly, this is a slide I use in my PowerPoint in trials. One of the best things we've got going for us that saves our clients is the burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt, which is the highest in the judicial system. At least in federal court, you get a definition that causes doubt so you would not hesitate to act. But how this ties into this talk is that I have that folder called burdens. I cannot tell you how many people, attorneys, after speaking to seminars like this, I've tapped on my phone and sent these graphics to them. But it could be the same thing for a motion or what have you, but occasionally it's very, very helpful. That's just another burden of proof slide. But do you get what I'm saying? Or you can tap it, and I've had jury instructions. And a friend of mine needed a thing on self-defense. Tap on the phone because I knew I had it in my instruction folder that was up in Sooner. You never know when you use it. occasionally. It's very helpful. People here familiar with Dropbox? Dropbox is very similar. Look at it, it's affordable. I'm not sure there's any charge under a certain amount, but you can store documents in the cloud. I use the hell out of Dropbox. Dropbox works in, you designate, it opens a folder in your computer called Dropbox, my Dropbox, I'm sorry. You expand that, and then you can add folders in it. One of my folders that I added is clients. And certain clients, and we all have clients that cases are bigger than others, and some clients you want to carry their information around with you. For example, I represented a guy in a significant cocaine case, federal case, and I opened a folder in Dropbox for him, and then I had, I put his pre-sentence report in it. And the significance of having his pre-sentence report in Dropbox is there's another program that works in conjunction with Dropbox called GoodReader. GoodReader helps you manage these documents, okay? And then once it's in GoodReader, I highlighted areas, I bookmarked areas. I didn't even take the pre-sentence report into the trial because in GoodReader you can jump to your various points. You know, with word search, or should the judge ask you about something, it's much better than going like this. In fact, let me try to show you this. This is always scary. Here's GoodReader. GoodReader manages documents. When you bring something up in Dropbox, then you can manage it in GoodReader. These are lists of folders like this Mendoza. That's the case that I had the pre-sentence report that I'm talking about. This next 7 is a camera that I have, and what just you can use your own adaptation. What I do on this is that I now put my manuals. Do you see what I'm saying? Because I lose them all, but now I carry around this iPad, and some of these cameras are no longer cameras; they're really computers with a lens on it, and they're complicated. So that's how I use it. Okay, let's see if I can go back here. Oh, just a second. Anybody here heard of FastCase? I forgot to put this in my slide. Write this down, free legal research, and it works. You can search states, you can search federal courts, and it's free. They make their money off selling the desktop version, but if you're in court, something comes up, get FastCase, type in your query, search it, and yes, sir, do you have a question?
Is it an app?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. FastCase. They also have a service for your desktop, but I find it very helpful. And I forgot to put that. I don't have a slide on it. Clients, I've already gone into that. Just the main thing to remember is Dropbox and GoodReader work hand in hand. Yes, sir.
Could I just add briefly that in California we have an app called Crime Finder, which is free and super user-friendly too.
Thank you. And a lot of organizations, the Texas Criminal Defense Lawyers now have their own apps. You can find anything on these. Let's see, where am I here? Oh, this is what I was talking about, opening the pre-sentence report in GoodReader. And then I think I may have some stuff here where my documents. You see what I'm saying? It's final PSR. I touch that and it opens. Yes, sir.
Quick question on Dropbox. How secure is the data in terms of, say, the federal government?
Here's how I answer that question. If you have the formula for Coca-Cola, don't put it on there. If you knew where Bin Laden was, don't put it on there. I don't have those kind of cases. It's never caused me a problem. I think your deal is that if you just reasonable precautions, and let me tell you, if they can hack Lockheed, the Chinese can hack Lockheed and duplicate our F-35 fighter, I mean, you think we're going to get a lot of shit because we put something in Dropbox in the federal government? Have y'all seen the pictures of the Chinese F-35 and ours? They're spit. You can't tell them apart. That's go on. Sooner I talked about that. I love this program, Log Me In. And this is another one of these things when you first get it, I'm not sure I'll use it. What it lets you do is access your office computer from either your iPhone or your iPad. When I first got it, the iPad wasn't in existence. So I had it on my iPhone. When I broke my back, it was very helpful because I was at home in bed and I could access my computer and I emailed myself some forms and things that I needed, and it was very helpful. Now with the iPad, it's like you're in the office looking at your stuff. This is actually a screen snapshot of, that's a PowerPoint. I have that in here, truthfully. This is actually a screen snapshot of me accessing my office computer from the iPhone. My point is, it's crystal clear. It's like you're there. This is on the iPad. This is the personal information manager that I use, and I'm accessing this, I believe, on the iPad. I just want to see, you can actually see this stuff, and you can move it around and do stuff. My son was a good baseball player, and I love telling criminal defense attorneys. I've been in 32 murder trials, but running a youth baseball team has been the damnedest experience of my life. That was a boiling cauldron. Son's now an attorney. He's being sworn in by my federal judge friend. When he was playing baseball, I bought a professional video camera and learned how to make movies, and I learned how to use Photoshop. So I photoshopped this. And this is how we get into the next portion of this talk. What if Lee Harvey, a great Dallas resident, had a cell phone? Do you think people would be interested in his text messages, in his voicemails, in his contact list? I do. What if? Today, and I really want y'all to hear this, how many people here have had people ask them, what would you do if you were representing a guilty client? Has anybody had, no really, you've never had this question asked? Hold your hands up. How many people? Everybody. Thank you, Paul. Just one hand. He's from Oklahoma. Anyway, here's what I want y'all to know. The police are in love with this Cellbrite device. They grab these phones now, and I know there's an issue, and I'm scared how it's going to pan out on whether or not they can search cell phones without a record. But as we know, if you think about it for a minute, where is my iPhone? Well, I've lost it. Everything, give me an iPhone. Thank you. This is what happens when you're 66. Our whole lives are in this. Everything. And the government is following us, and through Apple, merchants are, where my phone is, merchants are getting purchasing data and all that from us. Please connect this Cellbrite to your phone and suck it out, okay? And this is my friend Lance Sloves, who's the primo forensic computer analyst in Texas, if not the United States. He and I have become friends. I've had him speak several times at our Texas forensic seminar that I'm one of the chairs of. But this is what the device looks like. And there's a deal. Cops are in love with cell phones. That's Lance. Here's kind of the there's the device, and then there's the analysis software that goes with it. Okay, this is not something attorneys need, but I want y'all to be aware that this is out there. So what they do is they can either do a physical analysis of the phone or a logical analysis. I get the two confused, but here's what I want you to know about it. Tell you what, let me see if I can go back one here. We'll catch it later. The logical analysis, if you open your computer, let's say you're at your desk and you go to computer and you're looking at your folders. You know what I mean? Show your different folders that you've got. That's your logical analysis. But the physical or the real analysis gets not just the documents you see, but the undeleted data and other things. And normally it's the undeleted data, it is the deleted data that is important for us, okay? That's where an innocent client, well, I ask y'all about anybody, what do you do if you have a client that's guilty? We know that the scary thing is not if they're guilty, because then it's an issue of can the prosecution prove it, or what kind of punishment can we get? It's when they're innocent. And we've all had those, and it's scary, right? Because the system shoots with a blunderbuss, not a rifle. A lot of this stuff is very helpful to the prosecution. But what you need to know is a lot of times they just do what they call the cell dump, and they don't get all the data. That's what I want people to be aware of. That's why you need to get your own person. And it's normally affordable, about $500 to get a good analyst to do this. And look at it because it's the undeleted data. Years ago, the first really innocent guy, and it was a sale of marijuana case that I had, mistaken identity, he came in. And what I'll never forget about the case was, they waited 6 months to arrest him, which is not unusual because they've got this undercover thing going. But truthfully, somebody comes up to you and asks you where you were 6 months ago, who knows? This kid, we were able to reconstruct it. And I remember I went and got the television schedule for that day. And he had told us, we were at our house, we'd gone to the hospital to visit so-and-so because he'd broken his leg. And then we watched some movie with mountains and ropes, and that's all I remember about it. Well, I went to the hospital, I went to the library and back then they had what we call today a table. That's how they did it. We didn't have 100 channels to view from. There was a table, you listed your 5 TV stations and then the programs down. Lo and behold, at 8 o'clock on ABC was Iger Sanction with Clint Eastwood, mountains, ropes. But everything that kid told me was true, panned out. And I actually wound up impeaching the officer with his own notes because I knew my kid was not in that house. These phones may well be able to provide you with the same type of information as the location, because geolocational data is stored in these phones. But it may well be in the deleted file section. And the truth is, it's hit or miss whether the deleted stuff has been written over or not, but it's something you should be aware of, because that's what you need to do. To give you an idea, the one thing I've had a little trouble with on this is like the tree, everything that's in the phone, and I'm going to divide this up in just a second so you can see it better. But once you get the phone data in here, then you've got these different buttons, like you can go to voicemails, cookies, that's normally not important for us, MMS messages, which means text messages with media attached, text messages, Bluetooth devices that you've hooked up to, wireless devices that you've hooked up to. I'm going to skip that. Passcodes. Really, you ought to put some thought in your passcode. They say put some numerals in it. Don't just make a simple passcode. This Cellbrite, except in the BlackBerry, they can't blow past your password, but iPhone they can. Okay, the project tree. I divided this out so you can see it better. Starts up here, Bluetooth devices that you've hooked up to. Here's your contact list. Remember, it also had that page going there. You can click on that, start going to the contact, voicemails, web history, wireless networks. Let me give you an example about this. This is actually my phone. And so I saw that wireless network, and I was kind of looking, and I noticed one of them said that I'd hooked up to a wireless network in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Well, I thought, that can't be right. And then I said, wait a minute, I spoke at the NACDL seminar in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. You can see in a family law matter particularly, if some guy lives in Dallas going through a divorce and he's hooked up to the wireless internet at the Holiday Inn 5 times, like we say in Texas, that'll hurt you. But you get the idea. There's similar stuff works for us, or is important in. I've got just these arrows, contacts, voicemail, just some of the things that may be helpful. This reveals a lot about our personal lives. Simply put, who, what, or when of every call or text. Okay? Back to Oswald. Types of evidence you can get off a cell phone. Text messages, pictures, video, call history, calendar information, contact list, email, websites visited, wireless connection, GPS. I gave this presentation to a group of family law paralegals, and I've spoken at a lot of seminars, but I never had a comment like this. After I finished speaking, 3 ladies came up and they said, Mr. Martin, we want you to know that we're getting rid of our smartphones. I don't think they did, but that's what they're doing. Okay, this is the physical and extraction software. I've touched on that. This is just a better. It's hard to see some of these graphics. That's why I've cut them out in piecemeal. But this is the same thing that we just talked about in the project tree. I just want to give you an idea what's available out there. These are, I think these are incoming calls, actually from a judge friend of mine. And not only can it show, it kind of puts it in a spreadsheet See Jim Mosley, Justice Jim Mosley on the Court of Appeals in Dallas. Had 1 incoming call, 4 outgoing, and 2 missed. Not only can you look at it down here, but then it can graphically show you. And you can see in a certain case where that may well be helpful. These, I think, let's see what I got here. Communication events, emails, and so forth and so on. The point is that not only does it give you a spreadsheet, but then it can also display it graphically if you're analyzing kind of what's happening. These are text messages from an attorney friend of mine, David Peer. You see what I'm saying? This thing records everything. Our whole lives are in this device. And they can track us using this device called Stingray. It's a huge issue right now. What they're doing is they're getting access to our cell stuff using a subpoena without a record, without a warrant, no probable cause. That's what's going on.
And the telecommunication companies are immune from being sued.
Yes, and also there's special statutes where they design the equipment so it's easy for the federal government to get in and hook up with it, so to speak. This is back to the text messages, it's just a chart. This is interesting. These are text messages, or these are MMS messages, let's just say text messages. Not only will it show you the text messages, but this is actually the language in it. Good morning, EX, blah, blah, blah. Becky Gregory, former U.S. I don't know what she was texting me about. But you can see how you can track. Text messages they're taking over trials, you know, and I'm going to kick your ass, and you say that text message, and they come over and use it in your assault case against you. Oh, I got it blown up better so you can see it. You can go through all these text messages and find what you're looking for. Sometimes it helps the prosecution, sometimes it helps us. It's out there. Notice. This is a deleted text message. Can y'all see where the error is? So my point is, these are not deleted. This one was a deleted message. So they can recover those too. It's hit or miss because really, these phones are just computers. It's really like when you delete a file, you delete the pointer to it. It's like if you steal a library card, the book's still there, but you can't find it. But this software can find it. Just about finished. This is just more of the project tree. This is geolocational data. In the right case, you can plug this stuff in. You can take these coordinates, and you can see where every time you touch Google Maps, it saves it in your phone. You touch Google Maps, the DEA later on trying to track you or whatever, you can go backwards. But a good rule works both ways. It may well help you. Okay? May well help. Doesn't get everything, but it gets a lot. Interesting. This allows you to wipe the deleted messages or deleted data from your phone. And it doesn't wipe your phone. Apple, you can wipe your phone remotely. But this is, I just thought it was interesting. Here I'm giving this talk and I see this app. But like if I deleted text message, that one y'all just saw, if I'd run this program, that wouldn't have been there. Deletion, sorry about this. Deletion without a trace, 3 easy steps. Like a state-of-the-art paper shredder for your phone. Locational services. When you take a picture using your iPhone, if you have your GPS location data on, it bookmarks where your photos are. It records where you took these pictures. And when I first did this, like these are 6 pictures, has geolocational. This is in Arkansas, at a museum in Arkansas that we went to at the Walmart Museum. Hold on just a second. I noticed this one down in Houston, so I clicked on it, expanded it. I took that at Houston. I gave a talk at South Texas Law School. That's a bike shop. I'm a big cyclist in Houston. This picture, I didn't take that picture. That was emailed to me by a friend from Houston. And the point is, it has his metadata in it, and that's why it shows up. Even though I didn't take this picture, the metadata is still available and shows it was taken in Houston. These files, this geolocational data, sometimes can be imported into what's a Google Earth program, and it'll show where it was taken or where that event took place. That's the purpose on this right here. We use Ashley Madison app. I just put in this for family lawyers. This is an app for people who want to have an extramarital affair. The point is, in a family law case, you got this app on your phone. Somebody cell dump your phone, you got a problem. I didn't even like having this on in my presentation for my wife to see.
Nice excuse.
This is coming to the end of this. Okay, now Cellbrite has a new software program addition to their deal where they can take, like, let's say the DEA arrests 4 people involved in a conspiracy. They get their 4 phones, okay? They dump all those phones. They analyze all those phones. Then they can take this data like that and it starts linking up people. You see what I'm saying? You follow what I'm saying? It link relationship views, and you can see it just starts analyzing this stuff for you. Once again, good rule works both ways. I just want y'all to be aware of this. It can show number of calls, time you called, who called who. Not only who called who, but who's in whose contact list, and it goes so forth and so on. But just good rule works both ways. We also have one of these guys that only had 1 call. That may well help him in trial. These other guys had like hundreds. You can filter the information on these phone calls, and this all has to do with linking people up, show it in different manners. But anyway, I just want to give you all an idea of the sophistication of this software. Also link it up to geolocational data. Jailbreaking a phone. Jailbreak means that it gives you access to programs that are not authorized by Apple. And I want to tell you something. There is a phone out. There is an app out there. You're not going to believe it. Cydia is what you use to jailbreak your phone. FlexiSpy. Okay? Nice. These investigators, at least in the Dallas area, are cell breaking people's phones, husbands, wives' phones, without them knowing about it. They're installing this program, FlexiSpy. Look at this. Watch them. Read SMS messages. Read emails. Read instant messages. View address. Track them. Bug their room. Locations on a map. Catch them. Listen to their phone calls. Live call interception. Just want to make you all aware of it. Activate target phone. Just takes 5 minutes. All data captured immediately. Data goes to FlexiSpy. View anything through your account with FlexiSpy.
Is that legal?
Who knows? But probably.
That's what I thought.
This is my buddy Aaron Romano, and I just added him. Where is Aaron? He's heard this before. I wouldn't blame him for leaving. Anyway, we became friends. It's a pleasure. But who cannot like a guy who has criminal defense, medical marijuana advocacy on his card? Roll with Romano. Conclusion. Anybody who's been to the Fifth Circuit, anybody who's been to the Sistine Chapel knows that God gave us the great game. Baseball had a tremendous influence on my life. It helped my son a lot. He was an all-state pitcher. It was a great experience. One of the teams that we put together when he was 12 was coached by my buddy, former big league pitcher, Mike Bassick. Those of you who have children, how do you get 12-year-olds to focus on something like this? The only way you can keep them still that long is they knew he knew. He not only worked on the physical aspect of the game, but the mental, being positive, being a good person, supporting your team. He taught my son when he threw a pitch and they hit a routine ground ball, the shortstop booted the ball. He turned to him and go, "That's okay, you're the best, I'll get you another grounder." But anyway, in conclusion, a life is only important in the impact it has on others. That's the inscription on Jackie Robinson's tombstone, his first black player in Major League Baseball. We as criminal defense attorneys have tremendous influence on the lives of our clients and their families. When you leave this life, you don't take your toys with you, you take your deeds.